Hello and welcome to Sharp. Today we're going to take a look at the Sharp Big Pad HC1 Series. We'll get you started, we'll look at controlling apps on your computer, launching the screen's internal apps, what the buttons do on the front panel, and even wireless sharing using your Apple device. So to connect your computer, you simply plug in the HDMI and USB cables from your laptop directly into the port on the wall. This will give you audio-visual and then the touch control from your computer. To turn the screen on, simply press the power button on the front panel here. The screen will boot up and generally take around 10 seconds to get to the screen you see behind me. To choose your chosen input, simply tap on the screen and an arrow will appear here and here. By tapping on the arrow, we get the option to choose the input button at the bottom here. I'm going to choose HDMI 2, which is my laptop. And I now have full control of my laptop by simply touching the screen. Once connected, we now have full control of our computer by simply touching the screen. So any content we have on our computer, we can work by simply clicking the icon we need. So let's take a look, for instance, now at Microsoft Word. We have full mouse control of the Word document, but with the draw function across the top of the page here, we can choose a pen and simply mark up any areas we'd like to draw attention to. By clicking on the mouse control, we now have control of the document itself again. And of course, if we wish to erase our annotation, simply click on the eraser here and rub that content out. Any annotations that we've made can simply be saved in the document by clicking File, Save, and giving it a name. Excel works in exactly the same way with exactly the same toolbar. Let's move now to Microsoft Edge. We still have mouse control of our content, but annotations are made in a slightly different way. If we move to the three dots at the top here and choose Web Capture, we can either choose to capture an area of the screen or indeed the entire page. If we choose the entire page, we can have a drop down to various different colours and sizes of pens, choose our option and make an annotation over that content. To erase, we choose Eraser and erase that content out. And of course, we can close and choose to save that document if we need to. PowerPoint works in a slightly different way. So if we launch our PowerPoint here and we take the PowerPoint to presentation mode, we can slide from page to page, forwards and backwards. By tapping on the screen, our options appear on screen here. If we leave those a few seconds, they will disappear. So tap on screen again and they'll appear for us. If we tap the pen icon, we then get a few options. We have laser pointer, pen, or highlighter. So let's choose pen. We can now mark up anywhere on screen. And again, the same principle as with Word and Excel, we choose an eraser to erase that content. But if I mark that up again by pressing pen, I can make an annotation just like before, and this time, by clicking on the pen again, I get my mouse control back. So we can drive through our pages knowing that that annotation stays on the page that we made it. If we tap on screen and close our presentation, PowerPoint asks us if we wish to save those annotations into our document. We can either discard or keep. Let's keep them, and we can see that it stays on there within the slide. By File and saving that to our computer, we can have an annotated version and a non-annotated version. With Big Pad, we have a number of inbuilt applications that we can use without a connected device, either a PC or an iPad. They'll run directly from the screen. We have eBoard, which is our interactive whiteboarding software, and we have a file browser, which we're going to concentrate on today. Firstly, eBoard. By clicking on the icon, we're presented with a whiteboard surface and a number of pens, erasers, shape tools and selectors to work with. If we choose the pen, we can either change the thickness of the annotation or the colour. If I make an annotation on screen, that annotation can then be manipulated in a number of different ways. By clicking Select, we can choose to move that annotation around screen and position it where we need, or we can simply erase with the palm of our hand. There's another eraser button where we can be a little bit more specific about what we're erasing. If we choose the pen button again, of course, we can change the colour of our annotations. There are a number of different backgrounds that we can use, and we select those from the icon in the bottom left here by clicking Background. Various different colours are pre-built into the screen, but we can add our own. I've added a music stave earlier today. So by choosing a pen, we can simply annotate on screen and start our music lesson. By clicking on the background icon and plus again, we can choose to either upload from a USB stick to the front of the screen or previously uploaded backgrounds like the ones I have here, so dotted paper for instance. We select and that will change the background for us. We may want to use our shapes tools here now to create a line drawing. At any point, by clicking on the bottom left, we get the option to save these annotations, or indeed open ones we've previously saved. We can browse files directly from Big Pad itself without a connected device such as a PC or an iPad. Simply click on the file icon and that will open the file browser, and we can look through the internal storage of the screen. So anything that we've uploaded previously, we have access to, maybe the custom backgrounds and line papers that we looked at earlier. By plugging in a USB storage device, we can then access the content on that device. The option appears here. So let's have a look at the fruit image. So with images, the options allow us to zoom in or zoom out with the buttons along the bottom. And of course we have our annotation tools to make annotations over the top of the content. Those annotations of course can be erased simply with the palm of our hands, or we can choose to save to either the stick itself or the internal hard drive. I'll choose a stick. We can also access video clips from here and control those video clips as well. So on the internal storage, we can choose a video, and that video will start to play with pause and fast forward control together with a time bar that will allow us to move through that video. The annotations, of course, will work in the same way as images. Let's take a look at the options on the front panel in a little bit more detail. Next to the power button, we have a freeze frame. This allows images to be held on screen whilst we can work on our computer separately. Next to that, we have volume up and down for any content we're playing on the screen. We then have a lock button, which allows us to lock the touch functionality of the screen at any point during the lesson. A menu button takes you into some of the settings of the screen. And then lastly, we have a second way of choosing our inputs from the options available. Over to the left, we have an input which is currently connected to our ScreenBeam wireless casting, and next to that, a USB slot to allow us to play content directly to the screen. We can wirelessly share content to Big Pad, and in this case we're going to be using ScreenBeam to cast our iPad and our Windows-based PC. Android devices can also be casted. Our ScreenBeam is connected to HDMI 1 at the front of the screen. In order to select that input, we touch the screen, choose the arrow and our input select icon, then HDMI 1. ScreenBeam is now ready for us to cast. From my iPad, I simply choose to cast and choose the selected device. In this case, my room's called Classroom. We now have my content on screen, and I can drive through any content on my iPad. Let's try YouTube. If I want to wirelessly cast my laptop, I need to change the selected input to ScreenBeam, which is connected into HDMI 1. By tapping the screen and the arrow, I can choose the inputs from the icon here and choose HDMI 1. ScreenBeam is now ready to connect. From my laptop, I press Windows K, or from a touchscreen laptop, I can swipe from the right and choose Connect. Our options are available on the right-hand side. If I choose Classroom, which is the name of my room here, my laptop will instantly connect to the screen. To use the touch control of Big Pad, we need to click Allow Mouse and Keyboard Control on the icon here. Within a few seconds, the drivers load and we now have touch control of our connected laptop.